William Eggleston is a famous American photographer born in Memphis, Tennessee in 1939. He began photographing in black and white, but soon moved to color film in the late 1950s. He was inspired by the work of famous photographers such as Henry Cartier-Bresson. His work can be found in auctions, galleries, art fairs, exhibitions, his photo books such as Democratic Forest or Los Alamos, and museums in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., London, and New York. He's also photographed on movie sets such as Annie and multiple music covers. William Eggleston's aesthetic often encompasses the normalities of the middle-class living situation. He is shown to photograph everyday people, houses, telephone poles, parking signs, trees, vending machines, and anything mundane and ugly. Ordinary objects are usually the subject of his work, but it gives the audience a somber, bleak, but all too familiar nostalgia. What Eggleston contributed to the world of photography was a unique style of viewing the average. His use of color was fairly new, as many films were in black and white, which was considered exceptional photography at the time. Once he discovered dye transfer printing in the 1960s and 70s, his style of photography began to develop into what it is known for today. Since color is what makes his photos so special, he focused on pigment and dye transfer print to accentuate his subjects. This image of a radiator in a bathroom is one from a series called Berlin in 1983, where most of the pictures are untitled. This image is a chromogenic print which contains monochromatic colors with a dark to light gray and navy blue color scheme. I would classify this image as both aesthetically evaluative and theoretical and possibly interpretive. Even though it is not your typical beauty shot, the colors make it pleasing to look at. There isn't really a message here, and it's not describing an object or how something occurs. There's nothing to comment on the ethics of this photo because it is simply a radiator in a bathroom. It could also be part of the theoretical category, commenting on what was considered good photography or what was worthy of being a subject of a photograph in this era. Eggleston contributed to the changing of the stigma with his collections of ordinary objects that create some sense of unease for the audience. This image of the side of a house can again fall into these two categories. The subjects of Eggleston's photos sometimes are not meant to deliver a message or create a story, rather to just evoke a feeling in the viewer and show how the simple world around you can be beautiful. The use of colors in this photograph is what is important. The blue sky and the green grass frame the side of the White House and make all three colors pop. This image was taken as a part of the Los Alamos collection in 1970 and was a dye transfer print. The title of this image is Sumner, Mississippi, 1970, and was a dye transfer print. It shows a boy stretched in a chair in a green room. It exemplifies the use of complementary colors, which makes the red lamp and chair stand out. It also gives an eerie and gloomy feeling to the scenery. The woman's legs, which are just barely in the picture, and the inability to see her head makes the boy seem more isolated. Like some of Eggleston's photos, this image is interpretive because we can see a family enjoying a meal, but we have to conclude for ourselves what the background story is and what Eggleston is trying to make us feel about the boy in the ghostly green room. One of his most famous photos, The Red Ceiling, is a dye transfer print which shows a bare light bulb against the bright red ceiling and walls and erotic pictures in the background. This image is most certainly interpretive, aesthetic, and theoretical, and Eggleston describes it as having some indefinable sense of menace. It was also the cover of a record Radio City by Big Star. Another untitled pigment print photograph shows various tomatoes next to a mint-colored sink. This photo is very pretty in terms of its color use, the angles, and the warm but subtle light entering the kitchen. It would be classified as aesthetically evaluative because its purpose is fairly straightforward. However, the chosen soft color scheme and layout of the photograph makes it placid, familiar, and pleasing to look at. Another dye transfer print, this image of golden sunlight on a woman's face makes use of the natural side lighting at sunset. This image would be interpretive because the golden light gives a tranquil yet elegant and powerful feeling to the woman as she looks into the distance. It could also be aesthetic because the gold sunlight and bright orange hair complements well with her colorful shirt and makes her pop out from the background. I chose William Eggleston as a photographer because he made me feel a certain way that I could not describe. His composition creates a nostalgic, home-like feel for the viewer. He also gave us a glimpse into Southern America in the 1970s and 80s. His ability to turn ordinary objects into a story or a feeling is what makes him so successful and changed the history of photography forever. Eggleston fostered the way for a new art form because only black and white photographs used to meet the standards of art in the 60s and 70s. To this day, he is considered the father of modern color photography for his exceptional work and creativity.